I woke up to find my left hand bound by a gold chain, the other end attached to my archenemy and young wife, Sophie. Without a second thought, I pulled her up and shouted, "What are you doing? How dare you sleep in my bed?" Sophie didn't look sleepy at all. She wasn't even surprised. She just flashed a faint smile with her red lips and looked at me playfully. I raised my left wrist. "What's going on? Unbind me now." I showed her the gold chain. Sophie's mood suddenly turned volatile. "You want to go find Tiffany again, don't you? In your dreams. You'll never see her again as long as you live." I scratched my head and asked, "Tiffany who? Who is that? Why would I go looking for her?" This time it was Sophie's turn to be stunned, but only for a second. She quickly thought back to what I'd done before. Seeing she wasn't answering, I began to observe my surroundings. It was a massive room with decor that looked incredibly expensive. She asked, "What now? Going to hit me over the head with a vase again? Or lock me up?" I ignored her. Looking around, I had so many questions. "Where is this? Your house? I remember your place didn't look like this. And how did I get here? Why am I tied to you? Why are we in the same bed? What did you do to me? This gold chain is an alloy, right? It can't be real gold. Do you even know where you are? You bought this house in secret. Why did you tie yourself to me?" Suddenly, I saw something strange. A line of semi-transparent words appeared out of thin air. "Here we go again. The male lead is faking amnesia to trick the villainous wife." I thought for a second, how long will it last this time? I bet not even a day. The second female lead has definitely figured it out. This is the third time he's pulled this act. She won't believe him anymore. By the way, did Tiffany show up today? No. Bad review. What's so good about the female lead anyway? The text continued. "Can you guys look at our poor villainous wife?" Male lead, female lead, villainous wife. I understood every word, but together they sent a chill down my spine. This is absurd. Have I traveled through time? No, that can't be. I am me. And the woman in front of me is my childhood friend, Sophie, the one I always fought with. "You don't remember Tiffany? Then what do you remember?" I didn't answer her question. "Am I married? Are you my wife? How is that possible?" She snapped. "Ethan, if you want a divorce, it's absolutely impossible. I won't let you be with Tiffany. Even if I die, don't even think about it. I'm not even 20 yet. How could I be married? It must be a fake certificate. This marriage isn't legal." "How old are you?" I asked. 19, she replied. Sophie's pupils contracted and her heart skipped a beat. Then she calmed down. "Ethan, I'm not in the mood to waste time with you. Stop acting. You've faked amnesia several times now. Doesn't it get boring? I'm tired of you wasting my time. Stop looking for Tiffany. She doesn't really love you." "Amnesia? I don't have amnesia. Yesterday, I ran the 800 meters at the track meet. I took first place, and while I was showing off in front of you, I sprained my ankle. But looking at things now, it seems I'm missing something." The more Sophie listened, the more her expression shifted. Her eyes bored into me. It was shortly after that track meet that I met Tiffany. If he's really lost his memory, it makes sense that he says he doesn't know her. "You aren't 19, she said. "You're 26. We've been married for 4 years. 4 years? Really? I don't believe it. I'm only 19. Besides, how could I marry you? You used to say that even if every other man on earth died, you wouldn't like me." "I'll believe you this once," she said. "But if I find out you're lying again, next time, it won't just be a chain holding you." I looked at the chain curiously. "Sophie, is this real gold or an alloy?" "It's real, 18-karat gold. Low hardness, so it's still an alloy." What a letdown. Sophie's voice softened slightly. "What do you want to buy? Tell me. I'll buy it for you. You've changed. I used to barely get any pocket money out of you. It's not easy. No matter what you say, your money belongs to your husband. Now you're being generous. So I'm your husband now, huh? How did I end up married to you? Are you crazy, or am I? You aren't tricking me, are you?" Sophie grabbed the marriage certificate from the nightstand and showed it to me. It was authentic, with an embossed seal. I looked at the date. It was from 2022. We got married the year we graduated. The dawn light streamed through the massive windows. Sophie sat in the dining room, her gaze brushing over me almost imperceptibly. The maid, Mary, arrived. "Ethan, breakfast is ready." Sophie watched me, unmoved. While I ate, I shouted toward the kitchen, "Mary, your cooking is incredible." Mary poked her head out. "I'm glad you like it, Ethan. If you like it, eat more." "I love it," I said, stuffing another fried dumpling into my mouth. It had been so long since I'd seen Ethan this happy. But what if it's a lie? In an instant, the tenderness that was almost overflowing was covered in frost. What if Ethan is just lowering my guard so he can run back to Tiffany again? What if I run into her? I'll give him a chance. I'll wait, observe, and judge. This thought was like a poisonous snake coiling around Sophie's heart. She set down her coffee cup. If Ethan betrays me again, that special iron cage in the basement has been empty for too long. I wouldn't mind putting Ethan back in there. Suddenly I spoke up. "Sophie, I don't remember your family being this rich. This villa isn't cheap. Did you earn this? How much money have you made these past few years?" The old Ethan never asked about my fortune. He never cared about me. Ethan only thought about Tiffany. He only cared about her, only wanted to please her. Sophie took a deep breath. "It's not expensive, only 300 million. My net worth is in the tens of billions now." My eyes went wide. 300 million? And when I heard tens of billions, my eyes nearly popped out of my head. "She's loaded." I put down my chopsticks and looked at her seriously. "You say we're legally married, right? Do you want to split the marital assets?" "Hee hee, your fortune is half mine." That means I'm rich too. I was determined to get my share, but now, wait, this isn't right. Better to go back to the room. Anyway, we're already married. What does it matter if I get undressed? I'm not the one losing out. My smile was radiant, without a hint of force. Sophie saw me so happy and couldn't help but think, could he really have lost his memory this time? Before, even when Ethan faked it, he couldn't hide his disgust for me. It can't be. I have to keep watching. "Ethan, we have a prenup." If we divorce, you leave with nothing. Sophie's words crushed me instantly. I was truly devastated. You don't trust me, Sophie. I didn't expect you to be like this. You've disappointed me, she replied. When we got married, you were the one who proposed it. I proposed it? Why? Am I an idiot? To look righteous. I didn't even want the money. Because the Ethan of that time didn't actually want to marry me. Back then, Ethan only accepted out of heartbreak. He didn't want to marry me. The prenup, Ethan was the one who insisted on signing it. He always told me we were just a fake couple. How do we get married? And who is Tiffany? I kept asking. Just as I asked that, my eyes drifted back to those floating comments. Ethan, Tiffany is your wife. Please, Sophie is his wife. Is it illegal? Besides, Sophie and Ethan are a perfect match. I'll fight anyone who wants the second lead to win. The cheating woman doesn't deserve to be the lead. When he remembers, he'll go back to her. Don't break up the official couple. Okay, from these comments, I get it. Sophie and I are the main pair, and Tiffany is the villainess. But what is she really like? Is she so beautiful I'd die for her? Sophie hesitated for a long time before finally speaking. If Tiffany is your first love, you've been deceiving me for her. All kinds of tricks and lies. Why did you even sign the marriage agreement? I'm such a fool. Sophie, don't look at me like that. Ethan, you woke up with amnesia and now you're insulting yourself. Should I call the family doctor? I shook my head. No need. I'm fine. Sophie caught all my weirdness. It's too strange. Everything Ethan has done today is just too strange. Could it be? Has Ethan secretly contacted Tiffany? What could she have told him? Is this amnesia real? Or is it just a meticulously planned act to make me lower my guard? But everything seems to have returned to the past, to when Ethan didn't love Tiffany. Sophie's eyes dimmed. The suspicions in her heart were growing like tangled vines. Sophie finished her breakfast. She still had work to attend to at the company. Just as she was preparing to leave, I hadn't finished eating yet. Seeing Sophie heading out, I followed her and asked in passing, "Where are you going?" "To work." I nodded and said, "I forgot. What about me? Where do I work?" "You can't go out." I raised my head and asked, "Why? Do you think I'm lying to you? Your trust in me is low. I really don't remember these 6 years. I don't even remember who that Tiffany girl is. I don't remember her at all. What else can I do? Since you've forgotten, then stay still at home. Don't go out. Don't even think about escaping. There are bodyguards at the house." "Sophie." With eyes full of disbelief, I said, "The phone. I already agreed not to leave the house. Can you at least give me my entertainment? I'll have someone bring you a new one later." I gave her an okay sign with my hand, smiling. Sophie barely took a step outside before telling the bodyguard, "Keep a close eye on the young master. Don't let him go anywhere or see anyone, especially Tiffany." "Understood." "Yes, Boss Sophie." Tonight, there was a very important bidding event, a tender involving the Sophie Corporation, the Tiffany Corporation, and other companies. Sophie's assistant, by her side, was briefing her on the day's agenda. The assistant had also heard about what happened this morning. She couldn't help but feel a certain level of concern. Every time the young master does these strange things, it's to help the Tiffany Corporation steal projects. Even though the Sophie Corporation has many competitors, the Tiffany Corporation is their strongest rival. The assistant knew about this morning and couldn't help but worry. If they eliminate the Tiffany Corporation, no one could compete with Sophie. "Speak clearly," Sophie said. Inside, I wondered, is Ethan faking it so you lower your guard and then strike at the gala? I've ruined many of Sophie's deals before, but she always spoiled me, even at the cost of massive profits. The company shareholders are furious, yet she refuses to divorce. I must have been blind. How could I ignore such a wonderful wife just to crawl after a homewrecker? Sophie doesn't deserve this. If something like that happens again, I should prepare a backup plan in advance. No matter what, we must win this project this time. I can't let my husband's antics distract me. Sophie is right. At home, after eating and drinking my fill, I lay on the bed. I have to say, this bed is massive. The sheets are pure silk, soft, smooth, and expensive. The mattress is incredibly plush, smart tech, and fully adjustable. I feel like I don't even need to leave this room to go to the lounge. Before, my family and Sophie's were just middle class. We could afford furniture, but definitely not a villa this grand. I still don't get how Sophie got so rich so fast, who achieves this much success this quickly. I see the screen scrolling in real time, but it only shows unimportant things. Just some nonsense without any real substance. So I stopped looking. I hadn't been browsing long when a message popped up on the new phone. "Ethan, today's project is vital. You have to help me hold Sophie back. When I defeat the Sophie Corporation, we'll get married." I was totally baffled. I stared at the screen in the air. Does Tiffany really have the nerve to trick me? The comments say I'll agree because I love her, but I have amnesia now. Who remembers her? They think my amnesia is a trick to fool Sophie. This project is clearly a big deal. Now I understand. The one who sent me the message is that flat, round little homewrecker. I turned over and kept scrolling through my phone. Another 10 minutes passed. Receiving no response at all, Tiffany finally realized something was wrong. She started using sweet talk to get her way, and I got annoyed. I blocked her. Tiffany didn't expect that. Why would I block her? Inside, she wondered, have I been too cold to him lately? Tiffany immediately sent me more sweet words, basically saying everything with those other men was fake. She claimed they were just business relationships, and she only loved me. She said she was making money just to marry me. She insisted this project was only so she could treat me better in the future. I replied directly, "Prove your power with $500,000. Tiffany's face changed instantly. "Ethan, you've changed. You weren't such a materialistic man before. You used to be pure, innocent, beautiful, and kind, like fallen snow. Have you spent too much time with Sophie? She's influenced you. Stay away from her. I'm fighting for our future. Why won't you help me?" I sat there in doubt, muttering to myself. Could I really have liked a woman this self-interested? Did I travel through time, or just lose my memory? Regardless, it's impossible for me to like a woman like her. I had no desire to waste any more time on a fool like her. So I blocked her phone number too, and went back to playing on my phone. On the way to the bidding event, the nanny from the villa called Sophie. Hello, mother. Sophie hadn't even had time to ask the reason for the call. Miss, your husband has been vomiting at home and has severe stomach pain. He was writhing in pain on the floor. Where's the family doctor? I just called him. He's arriving now. Your husband wanted to call an ambulance, but the bodyguards wouldn't allow it. They said they needed your permission. Tell those idiots to call 911 immediately. If anything happens to him, they're all fired. She called emergency services without wasting another second. Sophie hung up and ordered the driver, turn around. Director Sophie, our bidding is about to start, and now your husband's stomach hurts? He pushed her hand away and said he couldn't do anything. She looked at Zoe, the assistant in the front seat. I know what you want to say, but for me, Ethan always comes first. Even if every time the wolf comes it's a lie, next time I will still believe it. Ethan can deceive me 1,000 times, but I can't stop caring even once. I'm not a lucky person. I can't lose Ethan, nor could I bear the pain of losing him. Zoe opened her mouth to insist, but in the end she only replied, yes. The black Rolls-Royce, at the intersection before entering the bidding venue, turned skillfully and went silent. It headed at full speed toward the villa. Sophie took a deep breath. I couldn't help but think that perhaps this was another carefully planned accident. The timing of it all was far too suspicious. Maybe the goal was to stop me from going to the bidding, but I couldn't take the risk. I couldn't gamble. Even if the story of the wolf repeated itself 100 times. On the 101st time, I would still run toward Ethan without hesitation. At that moment, her phone vibrated. It was a message from Mrs. Miller. The ambulance had already arrived and was taking my husband to the hospital. The police were about to enter. Zoe worked her tablet rapidly to manage the postponement of the bidding process. Meanwhile, I stared fixedly out the window. The car braked sharply in front of the hospital's emergency entrance. Almost before the car came to a complete stop, I bolted inside. At the emergency doors, Mrs. Miller and several bodyguards were waiting anxiously. Seeing me, Mrs. Miller said, Miss. My voice was clearly trembling. Is he inside? The doctor was examining him. I walked to the glass and saw only moving shadows. I clenched my fist, forcing myself to stay calm. I turned toward the bodyguard standing to the side with his head down, the one who blocked the ambulance call. My voice wasn't loud, but it was cold as ice. A heavily built bodyguard took a timid step forward. He stammered, It's just that the master ordered before that if your husband wanted to use the emergency contact or request a vehicle to leave, he first had to. What I need is for you to guarantee his absolute safety, not let him suffer in pain. I interrupted, eyes full of suppressed rage. If something really happens to him, which of you could take responsibility? The bodyguards remained silent, not daring to talk back. At that moment, the emergency door opened. A doctor came out, and I approached him immediately. How is my husband? Acute gastroenteritis. The patient is too thin. He usually eats very little, and this time he ate far too much. All at once, overloading his stomach. It caused severe spasms and vomiting, but he's medicated now and the pain has subsided. He's under observation within 4. There's no major problem, so don't worry. My heart, which had been hanging by a thread, finally settled heavily in my chest. An overwhelming weakness washed over me, followed by clarity. Sophie let out a long sigh. Thank you, doctor. Can I go in to see him now? Yes, but the patient needs to rest. Please, keep it quiet. Sophie nodded and gently pushed the door open. On the hospital bed, I lay with my eyes closed, my face still pale, and 4 needle in the back of my hand. The clear liquid dripped slowly, drop by drop. Hearing footsteps, my eyelashes fluttered. I opened my eyes, and seeing it was her, a flash of something fast and complex crossed my gaze. Surprise, or perhaps something more. Then it was covered by a layer of weakness. Didn't you have an important meeting? My voice sounded hoarse. An almost imperceptible light flickered in Sophie's eyes. She asked softly, How did you know? She suspected that I might have called her on purpose just to pull her away from the bidding process. She had already prepared for this. Even if she wasn't there, her subordinates aren't fools. I started to cry. She came running like a dog being whistled for. I want to see her beg. I want to see her plead for forgiveness. I had planned to tell Sophie everything because, in my current memory, she's the only familiar person. I got a message today telling me to keep you here, something about an important meeting. Sophie, you have to believe me. I've lost my memory. Even if we don't get along, I wouldn't side with others against you. I don't even know them. Even if I did, I wouldn't ruin your career like that. Sophie was moved by my words. She wished it could be like this forever. She reached for my phone. And before, I would have been nervous. But this time, I just unlocked my phone and handed it to her. And then, she saw the messages asking for a reconciliation. And the sweet words sent by Daniel. Her gaze darkened once again. After reading the messages, it was just as I said. I hadn't accepted. And coming to the hospital was pure coincidence. Couldn't she see my 26-year-old self was too thin? I thought about eating more to recover. But who knew I'd be this fragile now? It had been a long time since Sophie heard me talk so much and with such detail. I wanted to tell her even the most insignificant trifles. It seemed I had truly forgotten Daniel, and in my eyes, she could see herself again. Sophie stayed at the hospital taking care of me while I received the 4. Outside, the night was dark as ink, and in the hallway, one could occasionally hear the silent footsteps of the nurses. The liquid from the dropper fell at a constant rhythm, as if measuring time. I was lying in the cold hospital bed. My face was still somewhat pale, but my eyes shone with intensity, as if anxious to recover a fragment of a forgotten past from the fog. I asked a lot, everything about those 6 years, everything I had forgotten about Sophie. At first, she only responded briefly and even tried to change the subject. For her, those 6 years were countless silences of unspoken words, watching my back as I walked away towards someone else. They were an envy and helplessness buried deep in her heart, almost devouring it. They were the most unpleasant 6 years between us. She didn't want to mention them, not a single word, but every time she was about to sink into total silence, her gaze met mine. In it, there was no shadow or attachment brought by memory, only pure curiosity, clear as the water of a stream in early autumn, reflecting none of the dust from the past. Before eyes like those, she discovered she couldn't pretend to be strong. Those bitter fragments, in the end, were extracted by me bit by bit. That guy, Daniel, how I met him. Sophie ran her fingers unconsciously over the edge of the hospital bed. The coldness of the metal seeped through her fingers, her tense tone barely revealing any emotion. Only she knew that, in her chest, the oppressive fire of jealousy still burned silently. Tiffany was a graduate student at our university. When you sprained your ankle, I was the one who carried you to the campus infirmary. She paused, as if she could still feel the weight of my body leaning on her in those days. Later, for every checkup and bandage change, I was the one who went with you. However, the last time, you were almost recovered, and I saw that you had no trouble walking. That day I had something to do, so I couldn't go to the hospital with you. That's when you met him. Just one absence. Just that one time. I took care of you every day without leaving your side for a single step, but it couldn't beat fate. A seemingly casual arrangement made me fall in love at first sight with another woman. Even now it feels like a small thorn stuck in the softest part of my heart. And then, as if I were listening to a story that had nothing to do with me, you started having secrets from then on. Every day you were sneaking around, distracted. My project was in a key phase. I worked day and night without stopping. When I finally had the time and energy to look for you, you came to tell me that you were going to declare your love to Tiffany. The hospital room fell silent for a moment. Only the faint hum of the machines could be heard. So, how did we end up getting married? Frowning slowly, I asked again what had been on my mind since I woke up at dawn. The thing that puzzles me most was circling my mind. Later, you discovered that Tiffany wasn't just flirting with you, but more importantly, she already had a fiancé arranged by her family. Furious, you married me on a sudden impulse. Back then you looked like an abandoned puppy, and out of pity, I accepted. I felt like it didn't matter who I married, but when I saw your expression, it was clear you were hurting. I didn't know how to handle that kind of rejection, the kind that feels like a machine learning your every weakness. I felt just as sad as you did, because in this story, I was just a side character. The female lead fell in love at first sight. Childhood love never wins against a newcomer. The second lead didn't lose unfairly. The female lead is fake with everyone, only showing her true self to the protagonist. Come on, she flirts with everyone. How many times has the protagonist broken down because of her? Tiffany, as the heiress of the Yates family, surrounded by so many illegitimate children, naturally had to secure power first. To her, people were just tools. Except for the lead, everything was just a game. Just a game. So, why didn't she break the engagement and stay with him? When people online insulted the protagonist, calling him a homewrecker, she hit again. You call that love? But back then, the scandal was massive. I listened to Sarah's concise but information-packed narration about Tiffany's past over these last 6 years, and in my mind, a complete picture began to form. In the end, it's nothing more than a vulgar, painful story. She was ambitious, wanting to claw her way into family power, but she couldn't let go of the feelings that moved her. So, while she comforted me with promises of true love, she kept the engagement with the fiancé who gave her benefits, playing both sides, until it all came out. I took all the blame, and the woman who claimed to love me, she wasn't willing to step up and defend me right away. This plot is just a cheap romance novel. I really can't understand it. Am I that stupid? This isn't my style at all. How could I be so dumb? The four-drip finally reached the end. I could finally leave this hospital filled with the smell of disinfectant. My gaze fell on those 2 serum tubes, and my eyes lit up again and again. Your car is way too cool. My fingers gently brushed the shiny door. 28 million. Suddenly, I turned my head, my voice laced with a bit of resigned melancholy. If I hadn't run into that Tiffany girl back then, could I have succeeded in business and been swimming in cash too? Then, through my own effort, I would have bought a mansion and a luxury car. I leaned down a bit. I tilted my chin up, looking a bit like a rogue, thinking I could even have female models or something. Have what? What do you care? I want to keep female models. My best years vanished inexplicably. I lost 6 years. 6 years, and I hadn't even seriously held a woman's hand. When I woke up, I was already tied to you. I just want to keep female models. So what? While they were giving me the 4, that brief warm atmosphere had already completely dissipated. In front of Sarah, I went back to the way we treated each other years ago. I said whatever I wanted without reservation. Get in the car. Go home. I deliberately avoided her, opened the back door, and climbed right in. I treated her like my personal chauffeur. Sarah saw me acting so childish and lively, and a familiar feeling washed over her. Her red lips curled into an involuntary smile. She opened the back door and tried to pull me out. I rarely saw Sarah act so playful, so I followed her lead. I let her tuck me into the passenger seat. Do you really think I'm your driver? Being this young master's driver is a privilege. You should be secretly thrilled. Sarah said nothing else and pulled me along in silence. Like a shadow, we headed to the Miller mansion. When we arrived, I lagged behind. I let Sarah drag me along like a child. The servants waiting at the entrance of the Miller mansion had never seen the young miss and her husband so intimate before. They always looked at each other coldly or argued heatedly, but today their faces had changed. One complained while the other smiled. It seemed the relationship of this young couple was finally showing signs of thawing. Sarah led me by the arm through the hallway and straight into the master bedroom. She made me sit on the bed while she blushed. This unexpected tenderness left me stunned for a moment, and I blurted out, "You've changed quite a bit. Are you going to say I'm old again? Don't forget we're the same age, and you're actually a week older than me. So what you're saying now is that you're indirectly calling me old." "No, Sarah told me I was old." "No, Sarah told me I was old." "No." Sarah turned toward the closet with a slight smile on her lips. "Go take a shower first. We're going to sleep together." My thoughts drifted immediately, imagining what would happen after the shower. What could occur? I asked cautiously. "Yes, and I'll put the chain on you so you don't escape at midnight. This is illegal imprisonment." "I'm going to call the police." "Go ahead, call them. We're legally married. I'll just tell the police it's a little role play between a couple. Do you think they'll interfere?" "Sarah, you're a shameless woman." When I came out of the bathroom, I was only wearing pajamas. Sarah, for some reason, felt awkward. So she got up and went into the bathroom too. Right at that moment, the phone screen sitting outside lit up. "Director Sarah, the project bidding results are out. We won." The message was from Ryan. Sarah dried off quickly after her shower and opened the bathroom door. But the bedroom was empty. I was nowhere to be seen. Sarah held her breath, as if she had suddenly fallen into an ice pit. Did Adam leave me again? Did he disappear from my world once more? With an almost imperceptible tremble, she got no answer. A bad feeling nearly choked her. "Adam, someone come here. Everyone go find my husband, right now." Just then, with a soft click, at the end of the hallway, the guest room door cracked open. "Stop shouting." My face showed clear annoyance at the interruption, my tone very sharp. "Are you summoning spirits at this hour? Won't you let people sleep?" Seeing me, Sarah calmed down. Seeing her almost hysterical with worry, I felt a sudden pang of guilt in my heart. Before the journey, when I sprained my ankle, Sarah helped me get to the school infirmary, while she wouldn't stop scolding me. "Adam, for showing off. Now you deserve it." She kept repeating, "You've sprained your ankle. Keep showing off, and be careful not to sprain the other one." Before she finished speaking, I intentionally shook my leg, and she fell. Immediately. At 20, Sarah had a sharp tongue, but every time I returned to school, I had any problem, she always appeared instantly, even for the most unimportant things. Sarah at 26 was too cold to me, but she still took care of me. Now my mind is young. I'm not the same age as her, so I speak without hesitation. "Are you in love with me?" It wasn't a question. I didn't have a shred of doubt. My tone was far too confident. Sarah stopped suddenly. "In love with you? No way. Come to the room with me. Don't stay here." The comments exploded again. I quickly scanned through those arguing comments. I didn't get any useful information, and I wasn't in the mood to investigate. Sarah was already standing in front of me. "Are you walking back on your own? Or do I find someone to carry you?" Her gaze was cold. It wasn't a negotiation, but a notification. I looked away, feeling a bit guilty. "I'm staying in the guest room. I'm not running away. I'm not interested in you. How thin are you?" I checked myself unconsciously. Yes, I was skinny. Sickly hands. I caught a fleeting flash of pain in her eyes, as if by hurting me, she had also hurt herself. "So, why do you insist on tying me down? I know too much has happened these years. The way you treat me has to do with all that, with my lost memories, right? Before we married, you were entangled with Annie. You drove yourself into a state that was neither human nor ghost. After we married, I gave you freedom at first. The first time you saw her, you came back and went on a 3-day hunger strike demanding a divorce. I didn't agree, but I didn't forbid you either. I didn't forbid you from seeing her. I feared for the baby. I protected you in secret. The next time I saw you, you were crying at the front door telling me that Annie and her fiancé were going to get engaged. You hurt yourself for her several times. I forgot to mention that. She has a fiancé now. Even so, she keeps you hooked, using your influence to steal many projects from us, feeding off you and me to strengthen herself. She didn't keep her promise to marry you, nor did she even break her engagement. And you, for her, slit your wrist. You took sleeping pills and tried to die, even when she had mild food poisoning and needed a kidney transplant. You wanted to donate yours. It's a good thing I stopped you and locked you at home, or you wouldn't be. Just thin and haggard now, you'd be a skeleton. Since then, I found someone to watch you by day. And at night, I chained you so you'd sleep with me. Don't even think about escaping. Is that me? Isn't that just a massive fool? Is that really me? The more I listen, the darker my face becomes. I'm sinking into deep doubt. Does the worldview of this novel's author have some kind of problem? I really can't empathize, but I won't get tangled up in it. Anyway, I've already forgotten everything. I'd better defend myself. So what if I've forgotten? To prevent you from suddenly remembering and wanting to die again, you have to come back with me. There's no need to resist. I'm not interested in you. I give in, moved by her loyalty for not having abandoned me during all these years. Sarah, although she has a sharp tongue, is also like family who hasn't left me. Fine. I'm not interested in myself either. Sarah takes me to the master bedroom and, with mastery, ties us together with the chain. She keeps her word, sleeping on the other side of the bed. I still can't Sleep. Sarah, the bed is very comfortable. Sarah, tired from the day and startled twice. Only tells me, go to sleep quickly. The next morning, a faint rustling sound stands out. In the silent room, I move first, very carefully, but the cold contact of the metal seeps into the edge of my consciousness. What is that noise? I don't have class in the morning. Can you let me sleep? I frown, instinctively burying my face in the pillow. Get up first, eat breakfast. A woman's voice. Do I want to sleep? With eyes closed, my sleepy mind struggles to function. What woman is here in the morning? Then, memory fragments suddenly snap together. As if burned, I sit up abruptly. Do you have a good memory? Do you still remember there's no class? I don't answer, sitting on the bed, plunged into deeper shock and reflection. Events from 6 years ago feel like yesterday. But this woman before me, and the subtle differences in my body, silently tell me that 6 years have truly passed. This isn't normal. Not normal at all. It's an erasure. How is it that the oldest facts remain, but only the middle is lost? Those 6 long years. A stranger thought, more like science fiction, arises uncontrollably. Have I traveled through time? Go down for breakfast. Eat light today. Don't end up in the hospital again. I hum a response. As I watch her disappear, the door closes softly. I let myself fall back, covering my head with the blanket in the gloom. I keep wrestling with that shocking theory. Sorry, I'm late. I shudder completely, and in an instant, I throw off the blanket, scanning the empty room with a piercing gaze. Who is in the room? Hello? I'm not in the room. I'm in your mind. An auditory hallucination, a sign of schizophrenia. I can't stay calm anymore. I jump up and run out of the room barefoot, rushing down the stairs with my head in my hands, hoping to force that strange voice out of my head. Sarah is here, eating breakfast in the dining room. Hearing my cry of terror, she immediately drops her silverware and runs toward the stairs, just as I reach the bottom step. Did you hit the door frame? What happened? Her gaze quickly scans my pale face. Clinging to her like a lifeline, I grab her arm and speak rapidly. My voice is still trembling. I heard a strange voice saying it was inside my head. Sarah, do I really have a problem? Schizophrenia? I asked, shaking. What are you saying? Where's this voice? Sarah only frowns slightly and looks at me with confusion. My confession is suddenly interrupted. Are you deaf? I'm worried about you, and you insult me by saying I'm deaf? This accusation reaches her ears clearly. Sarah stands there stunned, looking completely betrayed. I just said so many things, and you didn't hear a single one. I said you're deaf. Your ears clearly work fine. I am furious and distressed, my fear temporarily overtaken by anger. Actually, you haven't made a single sound. Amnesia, auditory hallucinations, and now signs of aphasia. She doesn't dare delay any longer. Come on, we're going to the hospital right now. At that moment, that voice sounds in my head again, with a reassuring tone. Host, do not be afraid. I am not a pervert or schizophrenia. I am System 0137. System 0137. My struggling stops, and the chaos of my thoughts is redirected by this abrupt term toward a completely new direction. I repeated it unconsciously. Host. System 0137's voice was steady and flat. I'm sorry, I was supposed to meet you yesterday, but headquarters was rushed by a meeting. I could only join you now. Also, you cannot mention my existence directly to others. Any related words will be automatically blocked. We can speak directly in your mind. It's safe, and you won't be considered mentally abnormal by the outside world. I understand now. It's not that Sarah is deaf. Those words were just blocked. It clicked. My frayed nerves miraculously relaxed, and an absurd curiosity even surfaced. Like a phone number? I thought, stepping into the bathroom. System 0137 fell silent for a moment. Then an emoji projected directly into my consciousness. There are emojis too? I opened my eyes in surprise, nearly shouting out loud. Ryan. Sarah's calling snapped me back to reality. She watched the rapidly changing expressions on my face, and her anxiety reached its peak. Yesterday, memory loss. Today, temporary aphasia and auditory hallucinations. And now staring into space with strange expressions. These overlapping symptoms really aren't encouraging. Are you okay? We must go to the hospital right now. I was completely back to myself, seeing the raw worry and determination in her eyes. I quickly waved my hand. I forced myself to maintain a normal expression. It's nothing. Just a bit of a bad mood from waking up. My mind is still a little confused. Let's have breakfast. I'm hungry. Sarah wavered between doubt and belief. After breakfast, before leaving for the company, she called the family doctor. While a middle-aged man examined me, another man burst in crying, "Son-in-law, please, intercede for me. Don't fire me." With my current 20-year-old mind, I had never witnessed an elder kneeling before me. I rushed to help him up. Get up first. Speak slowly. Son-in-law, I have to support my parents and 2 children still in college. I really cannot lose this job. The bodyguard quickly reported the situation at the villa to Sarah. The number I changed yesterday, Tiffany found out the same day. At home, there is indeed a mole. Tiffany, on one hand, she monitored the movements of the company, and on the other, she kept leading Ryan on, deliberately provoking him. She really thinks Sarah, am just an ornament. After hearing what the man had done, the little sympathy I felt vanished completely. Having someone like you, who betrays and plays both sides at once, by my side is like planting a mine. Too dangerous. Today you betray Sarah. Tomorrow you will betray others. Today you skip training. Tomorrow you might end a life. Someone like you, the family cannot afford it. I will settle your salary according to market standards. If you keep causing Trouble. I will file a lawsuit for violating employee regulations and demand compensation. The bodyguard transmitted every one of my words to Sarah in real time. Sarah's initially cold face gradually relaxed. The results of the examination from the family doctor showed I have no physical problems. I'm just too thin. Sarah felt completely relieved. Today has been the happiest day in recent years. I hope this amnesia lasts a little longer, Ryan. But this time, I won't let you escape again. It seems Ryan really has forgotten. I hope he never remembers and stays by my side forever. Willingly by my side. I return to the bedroom, lie down, and the system dialogue begins in my mind. Can you change this code? If someone sees it, they'll think a delivery order arrived. Understood. How would you like me to address you? Don't use sir. I still feel quite young. Can you adjust your way of speaking? You're too calm, too cold. Agreed. Everything can be adjusted. Does a lively and friendly tone work for you? That's fine, as long as you don't sound like a robot. Otherwise, I won't feel like talking. As for the name, first introduce your functions to me. I come from the male protagonist department. My main mission is to save the protagonist. In short, I'm here to help you. What do I have to save? Is it that she has me locked up? Or is Sarah hurting me? Host, there is something I must tell you. First, you must prepare yourself mentally. The world we are in is actually a novel. I already know that. How do you know? It shouldn't be possible. I just arrived. I haven't said anything. Did other characters tell you, and you believe them? That doesn't make sense either. Is there something you want to say? I can see the floating comments. Is this a bug in your system? It was an oversight. Yesterday, as soon as I arrived, I was called to a meeting, and I accidentally activated the comment function. So you already understand this world through the comments? No. What's wrong with you? What's the matter? Exactly. The comments all day long are just playing poker or arguing. There isn't much useful information. I only know I'm a love-struck protagonist. Sarah is the second female lead and antagonist, and there's a female lead addicted to cheating. And don't talk about yourself like that. The protagonist must be confident and strong. This world was born because of the second female lead. The female lead and the second female lead really deserve to be harshly criticized. Are you sure I'm the center of the world? Then why do the resources, contacts, and benefits all go to the female lead? I'm so skinny now. Even I despise my own bones. This is a very old novel. Back then, physical and psychological suffering was the style. Family ruin. But now that style is no longer in fashion. The novel world has gone through countless cycles, but in the last few, this little world has drifted off course, especially last time. The second female lead turned dark and murdered the protagonist. In the end, you locked yourself up voluntarily. Everyone else deviated, and the second female lead turned dark. The main characters died, and the world restarted. And in this cycle, the second female lead's path of action has shown anomalies again. Wait, what did you just say? I died. Am I not the male protagonist? How did I die? Who is the center of this world? Is the female lead the author's biological daughter? And the male lead is adopted? Why do I have to die? Is it mandatory? Before I die, I'll at least take that old Sophie with me. Bam. System 0137 detects an anomaly. Alert. Host, calm down. We, the system, are here to help you reach a happy ending by correcting the original plot. If it's about me having a beautiful ending with Sophie, then I'd rather go stab her right now. Who is that ending fooling? Who likes a woman like that? Spending a whole life with someone like her? Calm down. The entire male protagonist department is on high alert, and besides, the old ways are out of style. You can decide your own ending. You can choose to make the second female lead the main one. Or I could follow a solo protagonist path without a partner. That sounds much better. I hope for a happy and fulfilling ending. I'll name you Angel. What do you think? Agreed. Host, our goal is happiness and fulfillment. Let's have a good partnership. You still haven't said what functions you have or how you plan to help me. That floating comment feature is both a help and a nuisance. They argue all day and ruin everything. Your angel apologizes. I'm sorry. Host, I'll deactivate it now. If you want to see them in the future, you can reactivate them in your consciousness. You need to complete the main storyline to reach your happiness. Every time a stage is reached, rewards are unlocked. The grand final prize is growing old together. If you have no partner, you can reach the end of life in peace on your own. Growing old together also counts as a grand prize. What do I do if I have bad luck and the person I chose betrays me? You can change them at any time. The person you choose next will continue to provide this grand prize. The protagonist system will always put the protagonist first. I'm quite satisfied. I have another question. 2 days ago, I was in college and now I've already been married for 4 years. Why? Well, let me give you an excuse. No, not that. Let me explain. At the start of the story, I took you to headquarters to connect to the old terminal. Of course, the novel characters have no memory of headquarters. It took me too long to update the system. You and I should have arrived 6 years ago. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? But the headquarters network was slow, which delayed my update. 1 day at headquarters equals 1 year in the small world. I wanted to save and return, at least to the moment you got married, but I didn't make it back and arrived at an even worse present. Both physically and mentally, I've been damaged. I was a college student, and so were you. But this is too unreliable. What did you even gain from your update? I'm from this year, a system that just graduated college. You are my first host. What? Are you even reliable? Anyway, I'm not very reliable myself. I'm starting to doubt your skills. I have confidence. I believe you will be happy. Ask away. This world lost 6 years for no reason. Was I here or not during those 6 years? But this world has me, and it follows the plot of the novel. Those 6 years were the execution of the world's program, commonly known as automatic control. Since it can be controlled automatically, why do they even need me? In theory, the plot of this novel says I would follow this path of development. The automatic control would also follow this program. So, what is the difference between me and that? Besides, it's too different from my own personality. It just doesn't seem like something I would do. The difference is that the body under automatic control gets hurt but feels no pain. It has no emotions or thoughts, but you do. Since I have thoughts, how could I do something so stupid? That's not me, definitely not me. Others follow the script and then they're done. You are different. Neither the beginning nor the end is controlled by the plot. You can live however you want. Only the middle part is the plot. The person who was manipulated isn't me at all. It's just a puppet on strings, living by a script written by others, not doing what I want. That version of me in the plot and the real me are two completely different people. His thoughts, his way of acting is something I can't understand or reproduce. It makes me do stupid things over and over. Again, once is fine. You can't be that stupid every time. It's normal for you to think the one in the script isn't you. The one bound by the plot isn't the real you. Only the way you live by following your heart is the real you. Anyway, I won't admit those 6 years were mine, too. Ridiculous. I could never do something like that. By the way, what's your skill? My skill is rewinding time 3 times. Now you're back 6 years. We start the mission from 6 years ago. Time rewind. It can only be short term. Well, let's save this skill for now. What is the reward for this stage of the main mission? You say this is the main character, meaning besides the main mission, there are also side missions, right? The reward is a mystery box. What's inside? I don't know either. Side missions are assigned randomly based on the characters you meet. You can choose to do them or not. Sounds interesting enough. Group C managed to win the project. They took a safe, profitable deal, which means Group C will pull ahead among many struggling companies. The night Tyler knew the result, he locked himself in the Tyler building. In the president's office on the top floor, he was the only one left on the entire floor. The notification email of the bidding result sat coldly on the computer screen. Every word was like a needle, stinging his eyes. He stood up slowly, walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, and looked at the bright night landscape of the city. This business territory that he believed would soon be under his control seemed to mock his incompetence at that moment. He began to smash things frantically. After venting his rage, still in his suit, he stood among the debris. His hair was messy, strands on his forehead soaked with sweat, and his phone screen lit up. It showed an incoming call from his fiancée, Ethan. He didn't answer. He just stared at the flashing name, looking at the coldness from 3 months ago. To win the government bidding and to obtain 51% of the E family's shares, Tyler signed a betting agreement with Ethan. If the project succeeded, the family would distribute 15% of the shares. If it failed, he would buy them back in 3 years with 20% annual interest, using his own 8% of original shares as collateral. He also made a military promise to his father, Marcus. Although Marcus was retired from the front lines, he held the real power, and he only valued ability, not family ties. He already had many children, plus illegitimate ones. This time, Tyler's defeat completely shook his position. That morning, Tyler struggled to pull himself together. Trying to regain momentum, he contacted several small and medium-sized tech companies he had cooperated with before, and he began to push some stimulating projects, hoping to regain his father's trust with short-term results. At noon, the call from Ethan's father and his partner arrived as expected. After an exchange of pressure and threats, he hung up. Tyler's smile, which had stayed fixed at Marcus's house, returned to Marcus's house. The smile on Tyler's face vanished instantly. His gaze was chilling. A few seconds later, the phone was thrown forcefully onto the office desk. Old fox, everyone wants to trample me right now. Sophie became even busier for having won the government project, but no matter how busy she was, she immediately checked the messages the bodyguard sent every hour about my situation at home. I had already gone 3 hours without leaving the room. Sophie has always been very attentive to me. Restless, she felt something was wrong. When the boy is quiet, he's surely up to something. She ordered the bodyguard to knock on the door, go to the mansion, and see what the young master is doing. Young master, are you there? I'm playing. What's wrong? The young master is playing. Nothing is wrong. Hearing that I was fine, Sophie calmed down. In the following days, Sophie worked at the company during the day, and I stayed home playing. During that time, if I wanted to go out, Sophie always refused. At night, the two of us were tied by a chain. Sophie sat on the bed, lying at the ends of the large bed, a meter apart. The only uncomfortable thing was that, to gain weight fast, I ate several times a day, and also before sleeping. At night, when I went to the bathroom, I woke Sophie up. Waking up in the middle of the night made her sleep worse. Over time, rumors spread secretly at Sophie's company that I was driving their lady president crazy. Tyler wanted to regain his father's trust, so he busied himself collaborating with small companies, regarding him insulting me at the bidding and slandering me. Sophie felt very sad. It bothered her a lot at first, but she thought that in the end he had listened to her and held Sophie back, preventing her from entering the game. She believed he still had her in his heart, that he was just in a bad mood. Pity his subordinates were useless. Even though Sophie didn't go, the project was lost. Later she heard he had entered the hospital to help him, and she took time to send me a message out of concern. I didn't respond. She believed I had been deprived of my freedom, and that's why I lost contact. So she sent several text messages to my old phone number and sent me a message about my son, to use them as evidence later. I had traveled to this world half a month ago already. The initial novelty had worn off with these days of confinement. Every day when I opened my eyes, I saw this luxurious and cold bedroom. I watched short videos about the lives of others. Sliding my finger, I scrolled until my joints ached. I lay back on the bed, tossed the phone aside, and called for the system. System, can we activate the main and side missions? I don't see a single soul here. Locked up all day playing games. I'm getting bored. Host, what if we sneak out? If I leave, it wouldn't be like the original plot. In the original story, Sophie locks me up. I try to escape, then Tyler injures me, and Sophie captures me again. I'm so weak I could die halfway there. You're right. First, recover your health. Health is the foundation. Whatever the mission, you need to be in good physical shape. Speaking of recovering your health, host, if you manage to get back to life, to a normal weight, you'll have completed the first stage of the happiness goal. What do you say? Recovering my health counts as a goal too? Yes, a happy ending requires physical and mental health first. What's the health standard? At least several indicators must meet the health standard. With no other illnesses, for you, it simply means gaining weight. I worked hard for half a month and only gained 6 or 8 pounds. Your height is 6'2". The minimum weight should be 140 pounds. Are you capable of that? The function is unique and assertive. It's a general value. Stop weakening yourself. One thing greets the others and gives us a way to immerse more. With that, the spirit is secure through all changes. It has been an example of faith. In the center of a beautiful scene, too similar to a Shakespearean window. Exactly different. New bolts. The state of joy takes over. I slowly scan the table and look behind me. Medium rare steak, raw fish, and tender stir fry. Green onion with eggs, a 10-ingredient tonic soup, and goji berry tea on the side. A strange and striking combination. Sophie ordered it specifically this afternoon. She said from today on, we must prepare tonic meals to strengthen your blood and energy. Sophie is attentive. Her lips tighten as she looks at me, but I'm focused on the food. I eat with one hand holding a steaming oyster shell and the other stabbing a piece of beef. I shove it into my mouth. Sophie closes her eyes for a moment and asks the maid to leave. Only the soft clinking of silverware remains in the dining room. I reach for the soup. It's especially tasty. I burp without any restraint. Sophie just watches me eat. There's only appreciation for the food in my eyes, no hidden meaning. She feels her earlier suspicion was presumptuous. She picks up her chopsticks with a natural expression and begins to eat. She eats fast. There's so much food. If you don't eat, I'll finish it all myself. I serve myself a full bowl of soup, determined to carry out my weight gain plan. Sophie watches me devour it. I'm eating at full speed, making her eyelids twitch again. The maid mentions I shouldn't eat so much. Be careful not to overeat. Remember last time you ended up in the hospital? It won't happen. I'm happily calculating how many ounces I'll gain while monitoring my intake in real time. Under the pressure of the system, I know what I'm doing and take another piece of green onion. Sophie sees me eating with such an appetite that she starts eating more too. Night falls deeply. She lies in bed just a few feet away from me. Her body temperature is higher than usual. Her emotions are secretly stirred. Lately, my behavior is so much like it was years ago. It doesn't seem like I'm acting on purpose. This change feels real. This lack of familiarity and total indifference couldn't be faked so sincerely for this long. Sophie's thoughts involuntarily fly back to when we were 20, back to those youthful times. Those feelings, once extinguished and withered, have revived now that I've lost my memory. Silently, her restless heart begins to burn with passion again, but I couldn't guess her inner struggles. At first, I resisted sharing a room with her and sleeping in the same space. After half a month of living together, I convinced myself she only wanted to keep me from strangers. She was just protecting my safety. Aside from that, she seemed to have no other intentions. A week passed like this. Since I ate so much every day, I had gained significant weight. My arms and legs, once somewhat thin, now had a layer of flesh. One morning, I stepped on the scale. I watched the needle stop firmly at 110 pounds and couldn't contain a smile. I looked at myself from every angle in the mirror, but Sophie, watching my progress, felt a fire rising. A silent fire ignited inside her. At first, she just tossed and turned in bed at night. She couldn't sleep. After all, her body wasn't weak. Then, she entered a subtle agony. She often woke up in the middle of the night, only able to watch me sleep in the dim light. I was in a deep sleep by her side, completely unaware, seeing me so dead to the world. That heat and burning in her heart eventually turned into resignation. One step at a time, she thought. She didn't have the heart to wake me from my dream, nor did she want to force herself into a cold shower. She couldn't explain it to me. On another familiar night, the heat invaded her more intensely than before. Sophie felt sweat on her temples. She gently lifted the blanket, took the keys, and unlocked the chain. Half asleep, I rolled toward the center and pressed myself against the skin of her arm. She practically fled to the bathroom, wanting to wash away those strange thoughts. When I woke up this morning, I had no idea what happened yesterday. As always, I got up and went down for breakfast. Sophie watched me, seeing my complexion improve day by day. Deep down, she felt very happy. Being at home is too boring. I want to go out. Besides, I think I need a job. Staying in your house all day isn't a plan. Hearing me describe myself that way, Sophie couldn't help but laugh. Ryan is still the same as ever when he gets firm. He even insults himself. I know you don't want me to leave, but I'm getting moldy. At home, I'm no longer the Ryan who lived and died for a woman. I'm the 20-year-old Ryan. I want to strive and improve, to be positive and radiant. I want to have a job, any job. If I don't know how to do something, I can learn. I don't want to keep being supported by you at home. I feel like a dog or a cat, not a person. You are incredible. I love this real version of you. Without a doubt, the you tied to the plot wasn't the real you. Look how the comments praise you. I want to be the master of my own life. I don't need to be excellent, but I do need the right to decide for myself, to do what I want. Right now, what I want is to work and integrate into society. Fine, she said. But first, let's learn a few things. We'll read them together. No, you're wrong. They are more than just words on a page. I already know my songs. This is my world, hidden away, and in the end, I have to save you again. It just occurred to me in the previous cycle. The one Chloe spoke of before, the one who killed her and then left with me. To be honest, I really don't think Sophie could like me. After all, our relationship is normal now. While having breakfast, we can easily discuss things. In the first 20 years of our lives, this happened. Often, we couldn't speak 2 sentences without arguing, and after arguing, we'd make up. It's hard for me to imagine why she made that decision. Is Sophie just like Chloe? Sick? Does someone have to die for her to realize her feelings and repent? Oh, I get it now. I'll be your assistant then. When the black car stopped firmly in front of the door of the Smith Corporation, the employees coming and going unconsciously slowed their pace. When the car door opened, their boss stepped out first, the cold, serene president who lit up the whole place. Every gaze immediately locked onto me. Standing by her side, Sophie, as if not noticing the concentrated stares around her, took my hand and headed for the executive elevator. Immediately, barely contained whispers erupted. Several bold employees quickly pulled out their phones, and in the Smith Corporation's top-tier gossip group, they started sending messages nonstop. What's happening? The boss brought an especially handsome man with her. That Ryan, the one who was always hysterical in my memories, with his eyes set only on Chloe. For Sophie to bring him to the company, he stared as the executive elevator door opened. Again, Sophie walked out first, followed by me. The top-floor employees straightened up. Instantly, come to my office. Yes, Miss Smith. The assistant focused instantly and followed us. Good morning. Miss Smith, Mr. Ryan, what orders do you have? Before Sophie could speak, he was already very excited. With an out-of-place excitement, please help me assign a workspace. Starting today, I'm going to work here. Am I having auditory hallucinations? How is it possible that I heard that? Mr. Ryan, the one who always causes trouble for the company, said he's coming to work? This is like a nightmare. He looked instinctively at her, searching for confirmation with his eyes. She nodded almost imperceptibly. Set up a desk in my office. He'll start with simple tasks to get adjusted. I don't want to sit outside with everyone. Do as I say, and fast. My request wasn't accepted, but it wasn't unexpected either. To escape, you'll never be able to leave the house again, not even a single step. Just as I walked out, I met dozens of eyes that hadn't had time to look away completely, filled with curiosity. Our gazes crossed in the air. The atmosphere became subtle and awkward, but on the contrary, I felt I had found my group. A big smile spread instantly across my face as I approached proactively, and my voice was clear and bright. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. From now on, I've joined the team. I stood there with a friendly energy, ignoring the confusion that was clearly visible on their faces. I wanted to make a good impression, without any strings attached, and without acting like a boss. I intended to do a lot of work and keep things professional in this careful work zone. I looked around at the office layout, noticing the busy atmosphere and the focused employees. Sophie herself took my hand, showing a side of her that was quite unusual for the office. More people were becoming curious about this new rhythm today, and though I had much to say, I kept it brief. We are childhood friends and also former classmates. Oh, I see. Everyone suddenly understood. So they're childhood friends. Who on earth is this guy? The assistant arrived with the logistics staff, bringing new desks and computer equipment, and approached us. Seeing me surrounded in the middle, the assistant stopped and spoke in a respectful tone. Ryan, why aren't you in the director's office? The name Ryan was like a stone thrown into a calm lake, sending massive ripples through everyone's hearts. The place fell instantly silent. The legendary Ryan, who has a terrible relationship with director Sophie. Indeed, the only man who can appear beside Sophie. It could only be Ryan. I don't understand Miss Sophie's character at all. What they didn't know was that behind the one-way glass of the president's office, Sophie stood in silence. Her gaze pierced through the glass and fixed firmly on me. Her eyes overflowing with complex, indecipherable emotions, scrutiny, evaluation, and a hint of suppressed possessiveness. Lately, Ryan is so obedient, even showing the energy he had at 20. It's almost too perfect. Could it be a clever disguise? I have to find a crack as soon as possible. I need to tear off Ryan's mask. But inside, I wish with all my heart that all of this was real. I wish time would stop here. I wish Ryan would always be like this, the one who smiles at me. The one who argues with me and then just laughs foolishly after a joke. That Ryan. The assistant moved quickly and soon set up my station. A workspace and a brand new computer. Complete office supplies, everything I needed. I had my own territory. I looked extraordinarily focused. I spent the whole morning sitting at the computer, sometimes frowning in thought. Sometimes I'd hit the keys, incredibly serious. Wait, what does this report mean? What do these numbers represent? How do I adjust the format of this document? Why does it look so ugly? School never taught this. I have no idea what I'm doing. This PPT template is way too basic. The colors are horrible. I'll just do it myself. Self-reliance is key. First, I secretly search on my phone for the things I really don't understand. I urgently call Toby to guide me from the outside. I stumbled through the whole day, but I stayed focused on the project and finished several basic tasks. Sophie printed out the documents I handed in. She pointed her pen at several spots. The logic doesn't add up here, and this data citation is wrong. And the format doesn't meet company standards. I leaned in to look while she spoke. She pointed and explained everything on the paper, her voice soft and patient. Without realizing it, I followed her train of thought, watching her modify and adjust, learning her logic for solving problems. Outside, the window began to glow with the colors of twilight. The 5 o'clock bell rang right on time. I had been completely concentrated until that moment. Suddenly, it was like I was injected with life. My eyes lit up. Time to leave. I quickly saved the file and shut down the computer in one fluid motion. I cheered and jumped up to bolt out. Ryan, don't you want my corrections anymore? I'll change them tomorrow. Labor law says it's time to go. I ran out of the office, leaving behind a crowd of workers staring at me with silent envy. Who doesn't want to leave on time? But my freedom was short-lived. The director gave special instructions. I can't leave the company alone. Go back and finish modifying the file before you leave. It's time to go now. Overtime pays triple. As an employee, leaving before the boss. In any other company, you'd have been fired by now. I gripped my phone, looked back at the tall elevator, and walked back inside with my head down. The light on the top floor turned back on just for me. Leaving work. I hate overtime. I followed Sophie into the elevator. This time, it was much quieter. Sophie drove me back to the residence. The night was already deep. Mrs. Liu already had dinner ready, 6 steaming dishes and a soup on the table. It felt like home. We ate in silence. I sat still for a while, itching to kill some time in the gaming abyss. Sophie went into the study to handle official business. Shortly after, her phone vibrated. Come out for a drink. I heard you took your brother-in-law to the company today. What happened? I'm not going. Nothing special. Don't lie to me. You two actually got along all day? No fighting or cold shoulders. That's rarer than the sun rising in the west. Good thing he lost his memory. Sophie is he's not a bother. She replied briefly and stopped paying attention. An hour later, the doorbell rang. Mrs. Wang opened the door and saw Grace smiling at the entrance. She changed her shoes naturally. Sophie, I've arrived at your house. Grace sent a message to Sophie, who was upstairs. Where's the brother-in-law? You're persistent. Sophie came down and walked toward the closed master bedroom door. Did you come specifically for this gossip? Well, yes. It's a miracle you didn't fight. Of course I want to see it with my own eyes. Grace straightened up, eyes shining. Sophie said indifferently, we aren't zoo monkeys for you to visit. By the way, wasn't Ryan crazy about that Tiffany girl? Why the sudden change? Don't tell me you're being fooled again. Back then, he caused such a scene over Tiffany. Grace, as Sophie's best friend, had accompanied her for drinks many times because of it. She was still wary. A faint flash of softness passed through Sophie's eyes. He lost his memory. Last time he faked pain too, and you gave in. This time he just improved his method. It's real. He doesn't even remember who Tiffany is. What if he just improved his acting? Sophie, don't fall for it again. Before she could finish her sentence, the sound of a door opening echoed. Both women looked up at once. I walked out in loungewear. I stood by the railing and looked down, my gaze clear and steady. With a mix of surprise and curiosity, Grace stood up immediately, flashing her signature bright smile. Hi, brother-in-law. Were we talking too loud? Did we disturb you? I walked down the stairs and nodded to her, polite but distant. Hello. At the same time, I urgently called out in my mind. System, who is this person? That's Grace. A close friend Sophie met during her startup days. Their bond is solid. She's the only one who can speak frankly to Sophie. Suddenly, I met Grace's inquisitive gaze. I just came down for water. Carry on. I walked to the kitchen fridge and grabbed 2 bottles of mineral water. She had just smiled at me. And she greeted me. Before, every time she saw me, she'd give me the cold shoulder. It seems he really did lose his memory. 80% of his memories stop at age 20. He forgot the people and things from before. That's great. What a relief. We have to celebrate. Come on, let's go out for drinks. My treat. Sophie hesitated for a moment. All right, let's go. Are you reporting in already, Sophie? You're really falling for him. Sophie ignored her. She walked toward the master bedroom door and knocked gently. My slightly confused voice came from inside. She opened the door. I was sitting cross-legged on the sofa. My fingers were sliding rapidly across the phone screen. The battle looked intense. The light from the screen cast a shadow of deep concentration on my face. It was as if I were completely immersed in my own world. Marcus, I'm going out for a few drinks with Grace. My eyes were still glued to the screen. Sophie, I'm not restricting you. She stood there, frozen like a statue. The moment she finished speaking, my body tensed almost imperceptibly. That sentence was like a fine needle, piercing my heart. I wanted to say something, but the words got stuck in my throat. It finally turned into a bitter silence. In the end, I said nothing. I just looked at her deeply, then gently closed the door. In the bar, the lights were dim and blurry, the low-frequency bass thumping against my eardrums. I didn't say a word. I downed 2 glasses of strong liquor in a row. Drink slowly. What are you doing? What's bothering you right now? As I raised the 3rd glass to my lips, I tilted my head back and drained it. Shouldn't I keep her locked up like this? You're protecting her. Before, as soon as you let her go, she would run straight to Anthony and cause so much trouble. Every time, you had to clean up the mess. Now that he lost his memory and the situation is uncertain, you have to be careful. What if it happens again? He doesn't like being locked up by me, and he doesn't like me. I swirled the glass. Isn't it clear? But at least now he's calm. I finally have some peace. Bit by bit, love can't be rushed. I acted as if I hadn't heard and poured myself another drink. Sophie shook her head. Until that night, she would be my drinking companion without fail. Our 2 attractive faces had already drawn many looks. Before long, a man with an upright build approached with a glass in his hand and sat in the empty seat next to me. 2 beauties. This is no time for talking. Want a drink with me? Sorry, my friend is married. Can't she make friends? This lady is in a bad mood. Let's talk for a bit. I'm married. The man's smile froze for a moment. His meaningful gaze swept over my ringless fingers. You're not wearing a ring. Seeing you in a bad mood. Did you have a fight with your husband? If I may say, sometimes you just need to relax. Maybe your husband is out having fun somewhere else right now. Besides, you took off your wedding ring, didn't you? Why take it so seriously? Life is short. Isn't it better to enjoy the moment? At that moment, I was on a call with my gaming teammates. I stayed quiet in front of a couple across from me, having nonstop fun. Suddenly, without warning, I sneezed loudly. Who's thinking about me? I rubbed my nose and muttered something. The temperature around Sophie suddenly dropped to 0. The man was driven away by the sharp look in her eyes and fled in a hurry. Grace sighed in relief, but then she saw Sophie looking down, staring fixedly at her own right hand, at her ring finger. Empty. Was my marriage to Marcus fake from the very beginning? Marcus never loved me before, and he still doesn't love me now. That realization burns my insides more than any strong liquor. Sophie stopped talking and just downed glass after glass. Grace felt very uncomfortable watching her, but she didn't know how to comfort her. A very drunk Sophie finally resigned herself to calling her driver to send this lady back home first, safe and sound. The night was deep when the driver helped Sophie out of the car. The night breeze blew and seemed to clear her mind for an instant, but her steps were still shaky. She pushed away the hand that Grace offered for support and staggered into the mansion, heading up the stairs. Step by step, Grace saw she was no longer needed and went home quietly. In front of the door to the bedroom, Sophie stopped, leaning against the cold wall, and clumsily straightened the hem of her skirt. After doing so, she took a deep breath and grabbed the cold doorknob. Honey, I'm giving you this elimination. From inside the door, my excited voice drifted out, leaking with abnormal clarity through the cracked opening and piercing her ears. Sophie's hand instantly went rigid on the knob. All her blood seemed to freeze in an instant, and in the next second, it rushed to her head like a roar. The malicious words that man at the bar had suggested became the most cruel prophecy, fulfilling itself in the most ironic way. So Marcus hasn't lost his memory after all. He's been lying to me this whole time with those seemingly tender gestures, carefully weaving a massive lie. It turns out that when I'm not looking, Marcus still maintains daily contact that is so intimate and close. Such an intimate nickname. Years ago, in my dreams, I called Marcus countless times, hoping that one day Marcus would call me that too. But Marcus never called me that, not even once. Yet he has called another woman that thousands of times. Sophie's jealousy fermented with the alcohol. The drunkenness that had faded slightly was now mixed with overflowing rage and the humiliation of being deceived. It welled up in her eyes like a torrent, devouring the last vestige of her reason instantly. She shoved the door open. The warm, soft light of the room spilled out, forming a sharp contrast with the gloom of the hallway. I was half reclined on the bed with headphones on, sliding my fingers quickly across the screen. Obviously startled by the sudden crash, I jerked my head up. On my face, there was still the slight, relaxed smile from interacting with my teammates. Sophie stood there, her cheeks flushed an unnatural red, and in her eyes was a desolation and despair that I had never seen before. Her usual cold and dignified poise had completely vanished, like a deeply wounded fawn. She stared at me with trembling lips and finally let out a question through her sobs. Marcus, are you lying to me? You never lost your memory. Baffled, I sat up straight. Lying to you? I've never lied to you. You're not lying? She stepped in, step by step, and each strike of her heels on the floor felt like treading on knives. Then who is she? That sweetheart you just called out. I understand now. You've been faking it all along. Faking amnesia, faking being good, faking your dependence on me, while secretly staying in touch with her. I realized what she meant and couldn't help but laugh through my tears. I held up my phone. You mean this? It's a guy? I just got a pentakill and shouted, well done, to celebrate. What on earth are you imagining? Sophie's footsteps stopped suddenly. Her drunkenness dissipated mostly, and the fire in her eyes slowly died out, turning into pure bewilderment. She stared fixedly at the screen of my phone showing the game interface, then looked at my innocent face as the flush on her cheeks vanished instantly. She turned pale. I softened my tone. Sophie, I know what you fear. You fear I'll remember Sarah, that person who used to be disguised in the life of a man who wasn't. Me. I was a puppet controlled by a script. My memory now stops at 20 years old. I only remember we were rivals since we were kids, arguing all the time. She turned her face away. Her shoulders trembled slightly. She refused to look at me, but she didn't refute me either. I got out of bed and walked toward her. That person who was willing to die for Sarah wasn't me. I was a puppet controlled by a script. My memory now stops at 20 years old. I remember that during the sports meet, I ran first and twisted my ankle, and you were the one who took me to the infirmary. You insulted me the whole way, but you held my arm without daring to squeeze too hard. I remember you used to be tough-talking but soft-hearted. When I ran out of pocket money, you complained with words but immediately shoved cash into my hand. I remember you said that even if every man in the world died, you wouldn't like me. That was just anger. I reached out and wiped her tears away gently, with movements that were clumsy but sincere. In these 2 weeks, I've seen it. With your words, you bound me with a golden chain. You're afraid I'll escape, afraid I'll get hurt, but you give me the best life. For me, you gave up an important bid, even though you knew I might be faking. You always ran to me. Sophie, you aren't the villain. You're the silliest and most protective person in this world. She suddenly raised her head, hot tears falling onto the back of my hand. Are you really never going to look for Sarah again? Why would I look for her? A woman who kept me hanging, used me, and trampled over me and the company, just to climb the ladder, and never even gave me a sincere word? I'd have to be crazy to get tangled up again. The man from before wasn't me. Now I am myself. I'm only moving away from human trash. System, you're incredible. It won't untie. I ignored the system and gently took Sophie's hand, leading her to the edge of the bed to sit her down. For what happened before, I apologize on behalf of that other me. She made you suffer 6 years of grievances. She made you sleep restlessly every time you saw me in bed at night. She made you feel like you could only keep me through confinement, even though you truly loved me. She failed you. But I promise that from today on, I won't let Sophie shed another single tear. Sophie threw herself into my arms and hugged my waist tightly, burying her face in the crook of my neck. The sadness suppressed for 6 years finally exploded. She cried like a little girl. I patted her back gently, my heart full of tenderness. This so-called confinement by Sophie was never control, but redemption. If it hadn't been for her hands, which never let go of me, that version of me controlled by the plot would have already died in those repeated acts of self-harm and despair. She protected my life in the clumsiest and most stubborn way. Don't bind me with chains anymore. I'm not afraid. But if you are, wherever I go, I'll take you with me. I'll follow you to work and be there when you leave. I won't leave your side for the rest of my life. She raised her eyes, red from crying, and asked in a low voice, really? Truer than solid gold. Besides, I'm going to work hard and help you manage the company. I'm not going to leave you. I used to hold you back, but from now on, I'll be your firmest support. That night, for the first time, we slept without a meter of distance between us. I held her, and she curled up in my arms, sleeping peacefully without tossing or turning or waking up at midnight. The next morning, when Sophie woke up, she was still a bit embarrassed. Having just woken up myself, I teased her on purpose. Boss, who was the one crying yesterday? She glared at me, but her usual coldness was gone, replaced by a hint of flirtatiousness. Before even getting ready, I directly ordered the bodyguards to put away all the gold chains in the house. From now on, I'll bind you with a sincere heart, firmer than anything else. In the following days, I fully integrated into the company's work. Since the beginning, I didn't even understand the reports, but slowly I began to learn business knowledge. With Sophie handling the company affairs, I progressed rapidly. Since she taught me with great patience, I also worked my hardest to help her. I just wanted to lighten her burden so she wouldn't have to bear everything alone. Meanwhile, Sarah finally paid the price for her greed and selfishness. The government bidding project failed. Not only did she fail to get her family's support, but she incurred a massive debt, and her original shares were mortgaged. Her father, who always valued interests over feelings, saw her complete downfall and stripped her of all rights in the company. He promoted his other children instead, and Sarah was eliminated halfway through the game. Her former glory vanished completely. In the end, she could only leave the city quietly, without the power to cause any more trouble. When I heard the news, I just smiled with indifference. Heaven always gives what is deserved. She built her own ending step by step. She has no one else to blame. When I returned to the family residence for the new year, they saw me sitting on the sofa next to Sophie, peeling a tangerine for her while she leaned on my shoulder reading documents. There was an air of peace and harmony. That night, I almost spat out my tea. My God, Ryan, you've changed completely. Before, you only had eyes for Sarah. Now, your eyes are full of our Sophie. Good. You've finally woken up. Sophie gently nudged me, but she had a smile on her lips. Don't talk nonsense. I took Sophie's hand and said seriously, I was blind before. Now I see clearly who truly deserves my appreciation. Host, the first time you held Sophie's hand, the task was successfully completed. Your health indicators have reached the goal. The second phase of the mission is activated. Protect Sophie. You have received the surprise reward box. The United Hearts bonus has been obtained. From now on, the two of you will be in sync. There will be no more misunderstandings. The days passed one after another. My weight slowly returned to normal. I was no longer that skinny, gaunt figure from before. I was full of energy and vigor. My relationship with Sophie grew deeper every day. Of those difficult things that passed, Sophie's kindness and a bit of forgiveness made everything equal now. I am no longer the cursed man I was. I felt cheerful and strong. I knelt on one knee and pulled a diamond ring from my pocket. I bought this with the first money I earned. Sophie, when I was 20 and twisted my ankle, you helped me walk this path. Now at 26, I want to take your hand and walk through life together. Our previous marriage was out of spite, conformity, and accident. Now I want to marry you because I love you. Will you marry me? Sophie's eyes welled up. She nodded vigorously and with a choked voice said, yes, I do. I placed the ring on her finger, stood up, and embraced her. From now on, there are no rivals. Only me and my wife, forever together, never apart, growing old together. Host, final mission completed. The grand prize, grow old together, is activated. I wish you and Sophie a happy life of peace and prosperity. I held her in my arms, my heart full of satisfaction. I once thought I was a puppet trapped in a novel with a written destiny, destined only for tragedy. But now I know that as long as I stay true to my heart and value sincere affection, I can break all bonds and live as I truly want. Sophie, with 6 years of stubbornness and protection, waited for the real me. I, with the rest of my life of tenderness and companionship, will repay all her injustices and waiting. In the quiet of the night, I looked at Sophie sleeping beside me and gently kissed her forehead. In this life, marrying you is my greatest luck.